So yeah, I got a lot of good options as far as what I can see there.
Yeah, especially late.
Yeah, a lot of late options. Let's see.
Okay, let's see what I got.
I don't fucking care what you got. I was talking about me. Go back. Fuck. God, let's see. So I could keep Bilal Powell, or I could keep Mike Wallace, or I could keep Seattle's defense. That'd probably be a good one to keep too. I'm probably gonna keep David Johnson.
Hey there, everybody. This is Danny from the CFOD show, and over here we've got Tommy Vereen,
Hello,
your
everyone.
commissioner. How's it going, Tommy?
It's going well, Danny. It's good to be back. We've discussed a lot. There's going to be a lot of changes in the CFOD this year. But one thing that's going to stay the same, the keeper portion of it.
Jeff's going to win?
Fuck you and fuck Jeff.
Oh.
That is not going to happen.
All right, keepers. That's right. This episode we've entitled The Keeper Episode because we're super original. So what we're going to do is we're going to finally unveil set number 2, which I did make.
The highly anticipated set number 2.
The set number 2. And we'll do some keeper options for some people. See what people have. Maybe nobody knows what everybody has. That's a good option.
Yeah, well, we're going to discuss what everybody's options are in the league, kind of what we think they could end up doing with those options. But one other wrinkle to that's going to add to this here is that we're now able to trade keeper options. So this is going to be good information for everyone in the league. Find out who other people have to potentially keep and who you might be able to trade for as far as those keeper rights go.
Before, our keeper episodes were always about just to talk about the league and say, hey, this is who we think this person might keep. But now it's, hey, this is the person that this person might keep and or trade.
Correct. So let's get into that.
All right. So, I guess we'll just head over to set number 2. I've got a button for it.
All right. Oh, yeah.
We're here fast.
Vastly different from set number 1, I see.
Well, we had to pay for the transparency logo.
I see.
Yeah. I mean, plus the cameras are smaller. We got smaller. The button doesn't work here.
Set number 2 sucks.
Set number 2 is going to be improved.
Well, fucking fix it.
Well, how about we just look at people's drafts?
All right.
Let's start with you.
I want to push the button. The people want to hear the button.
Press this button.
That's what your mama said.
Then this
That's
button.
what your mama said.
Okay, I feel better now. All right, now let's get to business.
All right. Wait. Dang it.
You got to fix that for set number 2.
Yes.
This is where the magic happens, is here in set number 2.
That's right. That's where a bulk of the show is. But anyways, so here we are. Let's bring up last year's draft. Granted, we're doing it a little bit different. I can actually bring in a web browser. That's another cool thing about set number 2.
Oh.
So I can just scroll through this.
Well, that's
I don't
interesting.
have to put in a bunch of work of pressing print screen all the time. But anyways, this was your draft from last year, buddy.
Oh, what a draft it was. What an incredible draft. A championship caliber draft that probably should have won the championship, but I got screwed.
Yeah,
So,
sounds like you.
yep. So let's get right into it. Some options that we have there. Obviously, there's David Johnson sitting there at number 14, sticking out as
It's a decent keeper.
I'm
I suppose.
probably going to keep him in round number 12. Haven't completely decided on that yet, but that's what it's looking like. Now, Alshon Jeffrey is no longer eligible to be kept, unfortunately.
Oh, really? He hit your cap.
He did hit his 3-year limit, so unfortunately I will not be able to keep him in the 4th, which gives me some other options there. I was actually really looking towards potentially keeping Martellus Bennett in the 7th. I like him a lot in Green Bay. Also, Bilal Powell in the 9th is looking like a really good value.
Yeah, it's definitely different now that we've got a running back, quarterback flex position.
Right, exactly. That opens that up a bit, and Bilal Powell has been going a lot earlier in drafts, like around 4 or 5 is where he's been sitting in there lately, which is a little high for my liking, but good option to potentially keep him in round number 9. But you mentioned the additional QB RB flex,
Which gives you Dak Prescott there at 15.
Indeed. Dak there, which I'll probably keep in the 13th round, or am able to. It's looking like David Johnson and Dak are the 2 most likely options. But like I said, I am still kind of kicking around Marty Bennett and Bilal Powell. So if anyone's interested in potentially trading for one of those options, Call me. Let's talk this out.
All right. Well, you sure you don't want to keep Greg Olson? He's going to have another 1,000-yard season.
Probably not in the first.
No?
Number
But you
11.
picked so late.
But I can pick him in round 2.
No, Cody's going to take
3
him.
spots later. Well, if Cody screws me out... Actually, I have theories on that, too. I think Cody might only be making 1 draft pick there at that turn.
Bum, bum, bum.
To be continued.
All right. Well, let's go into... Well, we're going in order of last year's draft. So last year, Josh drafted second. So second on the list would be Josh.
All right. Well, Josh has some good options, too, but... I do like Willie Snead potentially in the 4th as a solid option, but I really don't see any way that Josh doesn't keep Devontae Freeman and Melvin Gordon back to back. I mean, those guys are both late first round picks in most drafts that you'll be in this year. So to pass those guys up in the 6th and 7th would be a pretty tough move to do.
Now let's talk potential trades, or even if there's injuries. Who else is looking kind of juicy on here?
Well, like I said, I did mention Willie Snead. I like him a lot in New Orleans this year as their number 2 with Brandon Cooks gone. And also Isaiah Crowell sitting down there in the 11th round.
Yeah.
He's another guy who's been getting a lot of attention lately in drafts, moving
Yeah.
up into even the 3rd round in some drafts that I've seen. So
I know he was big on my list the last couple years, just as a good waiver wire pickup. So
yeah,
I can see it.
Cleveland's offensive line is supposed to be improved greatly, and he's looking to get the touches there. I don't know how I feel about a Cleveland running back, but at that spot, keeping him in the 11th round, that's tough to pass up. It's a shame Josh doesn't have 3 keepers, but he does have some solid trade bait there.
Yeah. Also, another thing I'd point out, granted, I think New England has 17 wide receivers that can start.
It's 14.
14,
so it's not
okay.
as bad.
So Malcolm Mitchell, I hear he's an up and comer there. If it weren't for Amendola still being there and the acquisition of Cooks, I mean,
yeah, just a lot of mouths to feed out there. But I know that is a guy that Josh liked a lot last year and drafted him as a potential keeper for this year. But I also don't think he anticipated Melvin Gordon doing as well as he did, and then Isaiah Crowell there also. But good option. As I was looking through, I had to recreate the keeper spreadsheet today of the history of the keepers. And, and Josh went through a lot of years where he didn't keep anyone, so it's good to see him turn around. He's making up for lost time.
As I've said, ever since the belt came into the league, I think he's cared more. So he's actually done a lot better. And let me tell you this, Josh, because I know you watch. I've been proud of you the last few years.
He has. He talks about it all the time.
In my sleep.
He even has a little tribute board built in your honor, hanging in his bedroom.
Don't tell him about that.
I thought he knew. I'm sorry. All right, let's move on to the next person.
All right, so last year, I believe it was Jeff. Lucky spot number 3.
Shit-ass draft. There's not
No,
a
that
single...
is a great-looking draft.
Name one person worth
Dion
keeping.
Lewis. He was so proud of that pick.
He did draft Blake Bortles.
He's the fucking MVP.
Indeed. No, I mean, as I'm looking through this pile of shit, really the only thing I see worth keeping is Michael Thomas in the 4th. I mean, Derek Carr in the 12th, I guess. Like, bleh.
I mean, Le'Veon Bell in the 3rd would be great if it was possible.
But he can't do it because he's hit the 3rd-year limit as well.
Yep. All right. It sounds like you want to move on.
No, let's sit here and dwell on this for a minute that Jeff can't keep Le'Veon Bell anymore. And wait, where's Jeff picking in the draft this year?
I believe it was 7th.
Okay. So hopefully Le'Veon Bell will be gone by then. Hopefully. All right, so I feel better now.
All right, ready to move on?
Let's move on.
Okay.
Oh.
Barry McCockner, your second favorite friend.
Yeah, good old James Cobley with another shit draft. Of course, he did hit the lottery with Odell Beckham a couple years ago and still had that. This is his last opportunity to keep Odell Beckham. So that curse is about to come to an end.
He'll only win the bitch belt one more time?
Exactly, and then he'll be our annual clusterfucker after that.
Wonderful.
So James will be keeping Odell Beckham in the 10th, I'm sure. And really, the rest of this garbage-ass lineup, the only thing worth keeping would be Hunter Henry in the 14th.
Yeah. What about Dorial Green Beckham?
I say go for it.
I thought he
James.
liked his Beckhams.
Yeah, keep your Beckhams. It worked out great
He's
for
actually
you last year.
in the 17th round. He's probably going to draft David Beckham.
Just get all the Beckhams. Corner
That's
the
another
market.
David that I could take in the first round, though.
You could. So that's going to be interesting to see who David Beckham goes to in this draft.
Yes. All right. So yeah, as you said, there's really not
I
much.
mean,
'Cause
if you can find anything there to talk about,
does Giovanni Bernard still play football?
kind of. I mean, technically.
Okay. But that's all Jeremy Hill's
Maybe
territory,
Jameis
right?
Winston in the 11th. But
Yeah, especially now.
Yeah, but I mean, it's pretty clear he's going to be keeping OBJ and Hunter Henry.
Okay. And now, on to the newest member of the league, Baron Peterson.
Welcome
He's
to
got
the league, Baron.
this as his roster. It was my dad's auto-drafted a live draft, and
Indeed.
it didn't go too well.
Well,
It was tough.
There are some good things to be had here. First off, he does have the option to keep Jeremy Hill in the third. This is your final chance to keep Jeremy Hill, by the way. He's already been kept twice. So you can either keep Jeremy Hill in the third, or you can try to draft him in like the 13th round. It's up to you, Baron. You have those options. Obviously, you have Jordy Nelson sitting there at the 7th spot. That was drafted. That was a clutch draft pick by Regis a couple years ago, coming off of that injury. So Jordy has only been kept once, so you still have the chance to keep him 2 more times. I think this is definitely one of those years where Jordy Nelson will be kept in the 5th. And another guy I like a lot here is Pierre Garcon of my San Francisco 49ers.
Does he have a quarterback?
He has Brian Hoyer as his quarterback.
I do like Brian Hoyer. He just
Brian Hoyer
breaks his body too much.
He's a solid, decent body who you can plug in at quarterback.
Yeah.
But the reason I like Pierre Garcon here is the reuniting with Kyle Shanahan. Because the last time Pierre Garcon was in a Kyle Shanahan offense, he caught 113 passes that year.
Wow.
So to put those two back together, there's really not much else to throw to there in San Francisco. So I think Pierre Garcon in the 7th in the PPR league is going to be a pretty solid keeper. I'm actually hoping Barron does not keep him so that I can draft him.
Speaking of Pierre Garcon,
keep Christian Michael.
So, dang, I lost my train of thought. That 113 catches. Mm-hmm. Do you just know that, or do you have a statistician?
Both.
Is it a statistician or facts and reasoning?
It's facts and reasoning.
Okay.
With the assistance of a statistician.
Okay. You don't think he should keep DeAndre Washington?
Probably not. Probably not in the 6th. That'd probably be a poor pick. You probably get him later on in the draft. Nelson Aguilar, actually, is a guy that there have been rumors that he'll be playing the slot in Philly. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to work, but a guy to keep an eye on anyway through the next couple weeks before declaring keepers.
Yeah.
But again, I don't see any way that you don't keep Jordy Nelson and Pierre Garcon.
That is actually one thing I wanted to talk about, and this feels like a great time to do it. Why are people in such a hurry to declare their keepers?
I think more so they just want to make it known what they're thinking and kind of open it up.
But
to the option.
The word declare, does that finalize it, or can they change it?
It's not finalized.
Okay.
They can still they can declare all they want, but
all
it's
right.
not official.
I declare I win this year in fantasy football.
That basically means the same thing. So.
Yeah.
No, if anything happens to those guys,
I just had to do it
they
before
can,
the 20th.
Obviously, they can all change their minds by the 20th, but as of right now, that's where they're looking.
All right. Now let's move on past Barron over to the guy who doesn't have a kid in the league anymore, Randall Hill. This was his draft last year.
Sorry, you caught me mid-beverage break. So let's look at Randall here.
CFOD, sponsored by Squishy.
Are we allowed to say that? Are we going to get sued again?
Probably. Matt Groening doesn't like us.
All right, fair enough. So let's see. Last year, Randall kept Russell Wilson and Josh Gordon. I think you should keep Josh Gordon again. Why the fuck not?
Is he still suspended?
I don't know.
Okay.
He could keep. This would be his 3rd time keeping Russell Wilson. If that were the case, I don't know.
I don't think it's that great of a. I mean,
in the 5th,
with the changes, maybe though.
Still in the 5th, I think that's a little early. I think you could probably draft Russell Wilson around that same spot, the 6th or the 7th. So above and beyond that, there's not a whole lot that I love there. I mean, there is James White, the Super Bowl MVP, a guy who could be kept. There's a lot of Mike Gillislee talk going on right now about the New England backfield.
Gillislee's in New England?
He is. But if there's any lesson in the history of the Patriots running back committee, it's that they always have 14 running backs, and
it's the one that doesn't get drafted at all is the one that ends up getting all the yards. Yep.
Exactly. So I mean, I think James White's worth a look there, especially as a receiver out of the backfield. Another guy I actually like there is Josh Doxson. I don't know about him as a keeper in the 9th. That might be a little early, but as we've seen in this league previously, wide receivers do do tend to dry up in those middle rounds.
It's a different league.
It
this
is.
year.
It is. So it's
different.
going to be interesting. But Josh Doxson's guys with a lot of potential. Pierre Garcon and Deshaun Watson or Deshaun Jackson, I'm sorry, are both out of Washington now.
Who's the other Washington wide receiver? I know I had him last year.
Jameson Crowder.
Crowder, yeah.
So
I can go for a Crowder right about now.
But that leaves a lot of targets open in Washington, and for a former first-round pick who looked really good in college, I could see something happening with Josh Doxson this year. Again, you could probably draft him around that same spot, but if you're not keeping anyone else, it might be worth a look there.
All right. Now let's move on to the clusterfucker, although it doesn't say it. And I really hope she changes her name.
I think she pretty much has to. It's tradition that
is.
the clusterfucker must wear that as a badge of honor.
Has she? I don't think she has yet.
No, she hasn't, but...
Well, since she's going to watch this, it'll inspire her to do so.
Hopefully. But it's not all doom and gloom for the clusterfucker. What I'm seeing here, I'm looking at Jordan Reed there, kind of just sticking out like a sore thumb.
One of the top three tight ends.
Oh, absolutely an elite tight end when he's on the field. The problem is that he's going to miss games every year. It's just something that we've come to accept about Jordan Reed, which makes it a little scary to draft him in the 3rd and 4th round where he's going right now in most drafts. But really good keeper to have in round 10.
Oh yeah.
You alleviate all that risk. You're really not paying anything to have him there. But when he does play, you have one of the top talents at the position there.
Now, what do you think about Jimmy Graham this year? Actually,
I like Jimmy Graham in the 7th a lot. Actually,
yeah, I've heard he's going to be a lot more involved this year.
Yeah. I mean, and training camp talk. Who never really know what you can take. As
Oh
truth.
yeah, our 3rd string quarterback's going to kick punts for us in the back defense
You hear that every year.
every year.
But Jimmy Graham in the 7th, I think, is a tremendous value. Another guy, Terrence West in the 14th. You get a starting running back with Kenneth Dixon out for the year. He's still going to be sharing time with Danny Woodhead back there. But still, to get a guy who's going to be taking at least the first and second down carries every drive
Yeah. Plus,
in the 14th round.
He's got good hands, though, too. So he catches some passes.
So there's some solid options there. Anquan Bolden just got signed by the Bills, but I still think I'd look towards either Reed, Graham, or Terrence West, personally.
Yeah.
She might keep Arian Foster. Who knows? I mean,
He's been known to come out of retirement.
he has. So, and he did great in retirement last year.
That's
so.
right.
But yeah, she's got some good options there this year.
Didn't she have Arian? I get the joke now. Because she had Arian Foster on her team all year, even though he retired. Okay, yeah. Whew. Caught it back there.
Thanks for clarifying that
Yeah,
joke.
we have new people in the league. I have to make them feel in
That's
the
true.
inside joke.
I would hate for that joke to get missed. So let's move on.
Yeah, all right. Now on to
The
me,
fucking losers.
where I went 5-1 and then won 2 more games, or one. I didn't. I don't think I won any more
I
games.
don't know. I do know you lived up to your name. But you have some really good keeper options too, in my opinion.
I do agree.
In fact, it's kind of hard to. I think you have some tough decisions to make this year.
Yes, I do.
There's a good 4 or 5 keepers that I like a lot. Let's see. The one I think you have to go with no matter what is Jay Ajayi in round number 9. I mean, he is a first-round pick this year, late first, early second, going to most drafts. I don't know that I love him that much there. A good chunk of his points last year came in
Big plays
and a couple
big
of
games.
big games, those 200-yard games that he had. So, some uncertainty in their offensive line. They have trouble keeping everybody healthy. You've got Jay Cutler as a quarterback now.
Yep.
So, a lot of questions there. But again, in round 9, you can't pass that up. There's literally no risk associated with that at all. So, I think that's a safe keeper. And from there, you've got some options.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. There's DeAndre Hopkins in the 3rd again. I mean, that's still a great value to get. He had a down year, but he's been cured of the Osweilers, so he should be coming back
Yep. He
At
wants
least a
he
little
wants
bit.
to go savage this year.
at least a little bit, or maybe get some Deshaun Watson in there. Either way, it's better than Brock Osweiler, so that's a solid option there in the 3rd. You've got Cam Newton, former MVP, you could have in round 7.
He's
there.
the former MVP.
with 2 quarterbacks there now. I know they're looking at slowing down his rushing yards.
Yeah, and he hasn't thrown a pass yet.
Excuse me. Yes, there's that also. So,
You can't run and you can't pass. Now go get points.
so Yeah, again, that's probably about where he'll get drafted, I imagine, around that 7th round anyway, but
Yeah.
the guy you could lock up. Tevin Coleman had a good year last year. He's still the number 2 running back in Atlanta, so
But he would be a beast if Devontae ever went down.
he would. And I mean, he's a guy who contributes on his own, even with Devontae in the
Yep.
lineup. So at round 8, that's great value there too. And then a very polarizing character, Martavis Bryant in the 10th. He's a guy who, when he's on the field,
Catches 80-yard passes.
all the potential in the world. Just has monster games, but one more bust, one more drug sniff, and he's done forever.
Yeah.
So that's a little scary to invest a keeper pick on there. Not only that, he has yet to actually be fully reinstated by the league. So he's conditionally reinstated, but they haven't really clarified what that means. He's still not allowed to play. So
You're back in the league. You just can't do anything.
Basically, there's a lot of confusion going on around that.
I forgive you. Now go away and I'm never talking to you again.
That's exactly how that works. So hopefully that's cleared up a little bit before you have to declare keepers. But another scary thing there is Roethlisberger. It's been some injury woes for Ben Roethlisberger the last few years, and when he's not in the lineup, especially the last couple of years, though, I would say. And and the thing is, when he's not in the lineup, that passing game looks a lot different. And but
You
again,
mean Vic can't pass a ball?
but again, in round 10, I mean, there's very minimal risk associated with that too.
Yeah.
So you definitely have a lot of options.
And what about Dwayne Allen, the new Martellus Bennett?
He's no Martellus Bennett.
Okay.
He doesn't even look like Martellus Bennett.
Okay. But yeah, no, there's a lot of decisions to be made.
Yes, you do. You have decisions to be had. Well, why don't you tell us, enlighten us a little bit on what's going on in your head right now?
I'm not declaring keepers until
You don't
the
have to
20th.
declare them, but just talk to me about what you're thinking.
You pretty much said it all. I'm thinking DeAndre Hopkins had a down year last year. That keeps me jaded. So it made me think about shopping his keeper eligibility. Granted, it's for 1 year. Granted, even if you wanted to keep him the year following, it'd be in the first anyways. So
That's right.
it's,
This is the last year you could keep him,
yeah.
correct?
So
Okay.
it's been a struggle going, do I really want somebody who I don't know if he even has a quarterback? Because, yes, anyone's better than Osweiler, but he's got a rookie quarterback coming in. But I hear in training camp he's been wanting Savage to be the quarterback. So
Well, he's obviously an elite talent at the position, catches anything that's thrown close to him,
yeah.
which Osweiler apparently couldn't do.
But then you go down to Cam Newton, same thing. It's like, I want to love my boy. But like you said, he's probably gettable around 7.
And with those rushing yards
in the old league, anyways.
and they're trying again. They are trying to limit his carries. They want to protect him long term. That's part of why they went out and got McCaffrey, that running back. So I think you'll see a lot more dump off passes to McCaffrey and less running from Cam Newton, which diminishes his value a little bit.
Yeah. But that's where you get into the Tevin Coleman, Jay Ajayi back-to-back there, where it's like, that could be my 2 starting running backs, or at least one of my starting running backs and my flex running back. And then I could just focus on pass catchers in the first few rounds or something like that. So that's another thing that I was thinking of. And then obviously I need to see Dwayne Allen in preseason, see if Brady targets the big man.
Yeah,
The other big man. The smaller big man?
the smaller big man, the little big man.
The little big man. Or
Well,
obviously I can keep Graham Gano because he can miss field goals left and right.
That's true. That's good.
That's a point, right?
I mean, but another thing about Dwayne Allen is not above and beyond the 2 tight end sets. There's the games that Gronk is going to miss at some point during the year. So, which is, I mean, I drafted Martellus Bennett last year. I was thinking the same thing, and he did have a couple of monster games, but they didn't seem to target him the same way. So that's why I'm not so sure about that second tight end in New England anymore, especially with all the receivers they have out there now.
Very true. Very true. All right, let's move past me and on to Allen. He gets to keep Anthony's team.
What an amazing team he inherited as well. I mean, just look at that. Just star-studded
Adam
throughout the lineup.
Vinatieri? Are you kidding me?
Michael Floyd, Chris Ivory, Thomas Rawls, the list just goes on.
You can keep Kevin White in the 3rd?
So, all right. So it looks a little rough. Obviously, you inherited a dumpster fire there, Alan, but it's not all doom and gloom here either. There are actually some late round players here that I like a lot too. The number 1 being Kyle Rudolph. nobody really noticed it, but Kyle Rudolph had a very good season last year.
He did?
He was actually the number 2 tight end in CFOD scoring last year.
Oh, wow.
Indeed. He was 3 catches away from leading the league at the position in catches. He stayed healthy the whole year. Sam Bradford stayed healthy the whole year. It was a crazy year in Minnesota, and no one seems to know about it. So that's a pick that I like a lot, to keep Kyle Rudolph in the 10th. He's a good red zone option and catches passes. So
Now, what about Kenny Stills? That was the first guy I looked at, but then this whole Tannehill thing just happened.
right, but I mean, you're replacing him with Jay Cutler, who's another guy who's not afraid to just farve it down the field and doesn't give a shit who catches it. So that's good for Kenny Stills.
Yeah.
Give him some opportunities down there. The Dolphins did pay him, so that's an option that I like there. Another guy like that, Ted Ginn, actually. I like that pick in the 13th as a potential keeper with Brandon Cooks out of New Orleans. I think Ted Ginn becomes that deep threat option. In PPR, maybe he's not that guy that you feel good about plugging into your lineup every week, but playing him as like a third wide receiver or a flex with potential to just catch one big play out of there, that's all it takes to win a week.
Yeah.
And to get him around 13, I think is pretty solid. CJ Procise is another guy I wouldn't mind taking a shot on there in the 12th. I think he has a safe role with Seattle as far as their catch passing duties out of the backfield goes.
Yep.
And, Thomas Rawls and Eddie Lacy are known to get hurt, so that opens up opportunities for him as well to possibly become the lead back there in Seattle. It's a shit offensive line, but it's still a good opportunity. So
Yeah, everyone will be chasing Russell Wilson, so it's all good.
they'll assume Russell has the ball. But, so while Allen doesn't have any great big-name keeper options there, he does have a lot of solid options there, and sometimes those make all the difference in the world. Just having some guys you can plug there, get a little extra value in, and build towards next year.
All right, speaking of next year, let's go to the next player, who is Cody.
Cody McDougal. Here's a guy, he's got, I think it's pretty clear where his options are going to be. Obviously, there's Terrell Pryor sitting there in the 13th. You can't pass that up. He had a great year last year in Cleveland, of all places. So to put him in Washington,
He
with
left
Kirk
just in
Cousins,
time, because Brock Osweiler's there now.
he's a lucky guy. I mean, I never thought we'd say that about Terrell Pryor, but he is a lucky person now. Leaving Cleveland as Osweiler shows up, and going to Washington with future 49ers starting quarterback Kirk Cousins throwing him touchdown passes for this year. I'm allowed to say it. Kyle Shanahan can't, but I can. So that's going to be a good place for him to be there, again, with Garcon and Deshaun Jackson out of there. So a lot of open targets for Terrell Pryor to soak up.
All right, let me throw out a few more names, and just tell me which one you like more. Mohamed Sanu, Amir Abdullah.
I like Amir Abdullah.
Me too.
Sanu, I don't think I think you'll get him there or even later in the draft this year. But Abdullah is a guy with breakout potential. A lot of people like him going, around that 6th round. So to get him in the 7th would be a pretty solid shot there. I like that pick a lot, but I think what I like more, I think I see Cody actually keeping Mike Evans in the 1st round. Cody will be picking 12th, as we talked about this year. So to get an elite passing option who led the league in targets last year at the very last pick in round 1, I mean, if he was available, Mike Evans is a guy who goes probably 5th or 6th in this league with with Odell Beckham being unavailable to be kept, with David Johnson off the board. I think actually Mike Evans probably goes top 5 in this league if he's available. So to get him at the 12th spot, I think is pretty solid coup for Cody there as well.
Yeah.
Above and beyond that, Derrick Henry is a player that I like, but he's going to be splitting time with DeMarco Murray for the foreseeable future. At him as a player, I think if you get him at 10 and DeMarco Murray gets hurt, then that's a great pick there. So we'll see if DeMarco Murray gets hurt in the preseason. Maybe that's something Cody looks at there too. But otherwise, I think I'm pretty firm. If I was Cody, I'd be probably keeping Terrell Pryor and Mike Evans with slight consideration of Amir Abdullah over Evans, but I think I'd go with the 2 receivers.
Yeah. Could be good. Now, on to not Ashley. This is not Ashley. This would be Ralph.
Right. And Ralph, obviously, are we allowed to say it on the air? Are we allowed to? Is it the word Baldwin?
I think because you're referencing the player's name, you can say it.
Okay. So Ralph, I think he'll be keeping Doug Bowen.
No, just say it nice and clear.
My mom watches this show.
No, she doesn't. My mom watches the show.
Doug. All right, that wasn't so bad. I said it. Okay, so I think that player that I just said will probably be kept by Ralph here in round 7. I think that's
I hope
really
that
good
makes
value.
it through censorship.
I hope. I don't know. It's a new year. I don't know what we're allowed to say, what we're not allowed
Okay.
to. So, Doug.
Why would you even risk it saying it again? You do know that, like in movies, you can only have a certain amount of curse words before it bumps up in rating.
I
Calm down.
can't stop saying.
Who else is he going to keep?
Besides Baldwin, let's see. Okay, so Mark Ingram is a guy that he kept last year, keeping him in the 6th. Probably about where he'd be going anyway. You do have Adrian Peterson added to the mix, but how do you feel about 48-year-old Adrian Peterson, who's probably going to be another child over the course of the season? So there's that to worry out for.
Well,
too.
that's because he's older than all the guys in the league. They're all children to him. So
That's true. So
technically, that's true.
there's some uncertainty there, so I'm not sure how I feel about Ingram in the 6th. I mean, again, talent-wise, he's absolutely worth that pick, but with AP back there, with also the draft pick that they spent on Alvin Kamara, that takes out pass-catching duties, which was a big part of Ingram's production last year. So not so sure how I feel about that. Theo Riddick in the 8th was a guy who was very successful as a PPR running back last year. Again, you might be able to draft him around that point anyway. So another guy who's interesting to look at here, who I would be considering, and it happens every year. I don't know why we're falling for it again, but Devontae Parker in the 4th round. Potential breakout guy there too. A guy who's, we've said it for a couple of years. He does have all the physical tools in the world to be a top receiver in the league. Mm-hmm. He did just lose his Tannehill, but again, he's got fucking pass-happy Cutler back there. Again, has no problem just flinging the ball down the field and letting his 6'3" receiver go up and get it. So, Brandon Marshall and Alshon Jeffrey both had some success with Jay Cutler back there. I think Devontae Parker very much fits into that mold of that type of receiver. So that's the thing. Is in normal CFOD years prior to this year, I would absolutely say keep Parker in the 4th because he would get drafted before then. He would be gone in the 3rd round in this league. At the latest. I mean, I took Eric Decker in the 2nd round. Got taken in the
6th round last year.
Right, but his stock was low last year. I remember you could have him in the 10th, 11th round last year, so for him to go in the 6th. So I don't know. I think that's about where he'll end up going this year in the draft, is probably around that 4th spot, the 4th round, somewhere in that area.
It'd be the late end of 4 where he'd be picking, though.
So that's I think that's probably where I'd be looking. Obviously, I'm not going to say it again because I don't want to get stuck on it, but he'll have a keeper in the 7th round. And then, again, those running backs, I think I'd probably take the shot on Parker in the 4th. It's a little risky, a little tough, but I think that's probably where I would go.
Now, I have a question for you. What do you think about Kenneth Dixon?
Kenneth, again, he just got hurt. He's out for this year also.
But keeping him for future year.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. I think you could probably throw the same pick at him again and get him in that same area.
Okay, that's true.
Plus, I mean, there's just uncertainty about what that role is going to, because this is now he got suspended. Now he's going to lose this year to injury. How patient is Baltimore going to be with him? Because he's been a highly touted prospect for them for some time, but what have we actually seen on the field from Kenneth Dixon so far? So you just have to wonder how short his leash is there in Baltimore now after that. So, but I think if you want to take Dixon, you can throw the same. You can throw a 16th, 17th, 18th round pick at him.
Whoa.
And keep him if you want to do that.
All right. Now, past Ralph, on to our last drafter from last year, Justin.
Justin Butt Puddle.
Justin Butt Puddle.
Justin has some good options there, too, that I like. I think the one...
Crowder?
Yeah.
Will Fuller?
I mean, I think the two that he has to keep there, the two that I would keep if I were him, would be Tom Brady in the 6th and then Jamison Crowder in the 12th. I think that's what I would be doing.
No Gurley in the 3rd.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is he does have some solid options. Like Gurley in the 3rd, I actually do like that pick a lot. I think Gurley's going to bounce back this year. So to get him in the 3rd, I mean, I think Gurley will get drafted in the late 2nd, early 3rd. So there's not a ton of extra value by keeping him there, but I do like that player a lot in that spot.
Yeah.
Not as much as I like Crowder in the 12th, though. I don't think you can pass that up. Stephon Diggs in the 4th is another guy that I'd be looking at.
Yeah. Yep.
But again, those guys, those are good values to have. But you would draft Crowder in probably the 5th or 6th round of a redraft league right now. So to get him as a keeper in the 12th is just really good. LeGarrette Blount in the 8th is another potential guy to look at there.
I was about to say, why does LeGarrette Blount ever leave New England? He just does worse.
Yeah, but, I mean, what else do they have in Philly? They have a good offensive line. They have Darren Sproles, who has a pretty defined role, but I think...
Is his role old?
He's old and he catches stuff. So, diseases, things like that. But LeGarrette Blount's going to be scoring the touchdowns out there, and I think he'll be getting a lot of first and second down carries. So, again, those are players that I like, but there's no one that I like more than Tom Brady and Jamison Crowder out of that lineup.
Okay. And that concludes everyone from our draft.
Oh, wow. That was fun.
Yeah. So we can go back to set number 1 now, where the button works again.
We're bigger now.
We're bigger now.
That's what your mama said.
I bet you're so happy.
I feel better now.
Okay. Good for you, Tommy. All right. Well, we've already been recording for about 35 minutes. I don't know how much of it we're using, so it's going to be kind of a long episode, but that's okay. It's CFOD related. It's not the season yet. We're so excited. We want to consume all that is fantasy.
And just get the information out there. Like we said, a lot of times you watch things like this and you wait for the part where we talk about you, and that's like the most interesting part, and then you're off to play with your balls or whatever else it is you do in your free time. But here there's information to look at across the board because you can find out what other people have going on, that what you might be able to trade for. Like I said, people with surplus. People like Danny have like 5 people they could potentially keep. So
does anyone
get
want
after
this?
those other ones.
I've got one of these. I could trade this.
Now, does it come with his keeper rights if you trade that?
Well, yeah. No, I have him. I kept him last year, so I have him.
Well, because you could trade him and keep his keeper rights. Okay, I now own Cam Newton's keeper rights, and I didn't trade shit for it. So everybody out there, go bargain with Danny right now. He's making stupid deals, and you can take advantage of them. Thanks, buddy. Yeah. Here's a piece of paper from the draft lottery last week.
This is Alan's number.
Yep, so now we're even. It's a good trade.
So I pick 1st and 4th, and you get $100 in Cam Newton.
That's cool with me.
All right. Cool.
I'm not going to veto it.
Well, until next time, where I get to pick 1st and 4th, I'm going to have to cut 18 people. But that's fine.
Fuck it, I got $100.
Go CFOD yourself,
Go
people.
CFOD yourselves. Give them back to
my money, my Cam.
You treat me, it's on the fucking camera.